Hi, I'm Rebecca. Welcome to Grove Knits. This is episode 8. I am terribly sorry it's been quite some time since I've recorded, but I'm about to explain that shortly. To anyone new to my channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. I am a mother of 3 grown children who's rediscovered my knitting. I've knitted my entire life, but I think, as we all know, it sort of ebbs and flows over time. So I've relaunched into knitting almost daily, I suppose, over the last several years, and crocheting. But as I said, since my kids were little, I've picked it up off and on, but I'm definitely a daily knitter. It helps manage stress. So to my new viewers, welcome, and I hope you enjoy it. To my returning, thank you so very much, and especially thank you for bearing with me over the larger than normal length of time since I've recorded. I'm now about to explain to you why before I get into the knitting. In the mid to late August, my second child, who is a 19-year-old adult, moved. I remember I spoke in one of my earlier podcasts that he was moving out of home, so he'd moved out of home. He'd been out for a couple of weeks, and then we got a dreaded phone call in the early evening of one night that on his way home from work, he rides a push bike to and from work. As he only lives a few kilometres from where he works, he was pushed off the road by a car. So we had to rush to get to the hospital. Thankfully, he is now okay. He's been off work for almost 7 weeks. I'll pop a photo up here of what happened to his collarbone. He required quite a bit of surgery, a huge metal plate. There's something like 15 screws. It's his right collarbone and he's right-handed. He's an apprentice chef, so it's really interfered with his work. But as I said, thankfully he's okay now. But it was quite a scary period. He had quite some time in hospital. He then also had quite some time back home here, which meant obviously and naturally everything else got pushed to the side. So I just didn't have the ability to record because I had a house full of people again, tending to injured, as well as the fact that once they've moved out and they come back in for a little while, they tend to take over the whole house. So that's why I haven't recorded for some time. As I said, he is fine now. He's hopefully back at work next week, and can get back into living his life. So that happened. Let's hope that that never happens again, because that was, as I'm sure we can all imagine, that was absolutely terrifying. Thankfully, it wasn't any worse, because it could have been a lot worse than it was. So now, on to my knitting. Naturally, since it's actually been quite some time, I have so much to show you. I also had a fair bit of time for hospital knitting, which turned to be just small projects, mostly a lot of dishcloths and the like. So I'll run you through those. I did finish off my Tin Can Knits Love Note sweater, so that's what I'm actually wearing now. I may take it off partway through this podcast because it's not exactly a cold day here today, and this is a bit warm. I held 2 strands, a mohair strand and actually just a light blue wool together, a Bendigo Woollen Mills wool, and it's a Bendigo Woollen Mills mohair as well. So I'll show you those. I also finished my party top by Abby Knits, several pairs of socks, loads of beanies, some baby jackets. So we'll run through those. So one moment. So for stash dash purposes, I have started tracking the meterage of what I knit throughout the month when I actually finish off bits and pieces. So while I understand it's not stash dash timing at the moment, I just thought it would be interesting to keep track of it. So for me, during September, I knitted up 4,216 meters of yarn. So from a stash dash purpose, that is fantastic. I mean, it's 4.2 kilometers, which is just fabulous. I didn't realize that I'd be knitting up such a large meterage. But having said that, this Love Note sweater, because it's got 2 strands held together and one of those strands is mohair, there's over 2,000 meters just in this Love Note. So I'll just stand up and show you the Love Note. Okay, so that's it there. You can see the lace around here. I've done elbow length sleeves. I've just taken this down to the high hip. So there. So I didn't do longer sleeves because I ran out of yarn completely, out of mohair that is. So the way I constructed this is obviously yoke first, top down. I then took it to about mid upper arm. I then popped it on my interchangeable needles and just capped them off so I didn't have to use waste yarn. Then I did the rest of the body down to the length that I wanted at that high hip, and then came back and finished off the sleeves so I didn't run out of yarn. If I was to knit this again, and I actually think I will because I quite like it, I wouldn't mind knitting this in probably just a standard 8-ply. I'm finding the mohair a little bit itchy for me, but that's just me. It's not, I've got mohair there, I keep buying it, and I don't know why I keep buying it because I always find it a bit itchy. It's not irritating, obviously, where I've got a top underneath, but for me, just here along my collarbone and along the back of my neck, I just scratch myself now. I find that I'm always having to scratch because it just irritates me. Anyway, what I would change is on the waist. I wouldn't necessarily do waist shaping, but I would probably just bring this in just a little bit, and maybe just use less stitches because there's actually quite a bit here that I could actually bring it in. And it's not about having a fitted jumper. This is just a little bit too boxy, which there's nothing wrong with that. Having said that, and while I say that I'm quite comfortable in it, except for the itchiness of the mohair, I actually think it's quite a lovely sweater, a great colour on me. As you know, I do quite often colour my hair with work, and I've actually got a colour that matches this exactly, so I often have this tealy blue hair along with this jumper, which is quite fabulous. So now the party top, I'll just pop it up here. The party top by Abby Knits. That sweater, so I'll just quickly change out and I'll grab that for you, one sec. Okay, now this sweater, I've got to actually put it back outside in a sec. I've got it out there resting because I've given it a wash today, so it's drying. This sweater I am living for, absolutely loving. Will unequivocally be making quite a few more. I'm also going to make one for summer out of cotton. This is with Bendigo Woollen Mills Celeste yarn. Celeste is a 50% bamboo, 50% wool blend. So it gets a little bit slippery and it does crease a little. I've noticed when I wear this to work, around this midsection here, when I'm sitting at my desk and it sort of bends over a bit, this yarn gets a bit of a crease. But this is one of the most beautiful sweaters. Like, look at that sleeve. These are just amazing. I will absolutely be knitting, as I said, not just one more, a few more of these. What I will change is I will add short row shaping to the back so I can bring the back up a little. And with this one, I did not make this cropped. So this one is about the same length, as you can see, as my Love Note sweater. Because I work with animals all day, and I actually care for a guide dog. I obviously can see I don't need a guide dog, but where I work we have partnership arrangement, and so I've got an ambassador dog that actually lives with us and goes to work with me every day, so that he's around students and the students can get familiar with how to work with guide dogs. Excuse me. Subsequently, I'm continually covered in dog hair. So for me, while I wear nice stuff on the top, so as I've got on right now, I tend to wear jeans most days because I can't wear black slacks or anything that's just simply going to make me look like I'm covered in dog hair all day. So this party top is a great length. As I said, I think the pattern took it down to 8 inches and then did the band. I went down to about 13 inches and then did a 2-inch twisted rib on the bottom. So I love twisted rib as well. But I said, well, unequivocally, absolutely. Not only knit more of these, but I'm actually now going to have a look at Abby Knits and see what other patterns that she has done, because I'm even loving the way that this raglan shaping's gone. I love that as a design feature, that distinctive and definite line that goes down there. But I said I added waist shaping as I went down. Probably don't need to do that again. It's fitted enough that you just don't need waist shaping, and I added a lot more length. So I'm just going to go pop this back outside. It smells lovely. I've just give it a good, obviously, a wash with some soak. So please forgive me for being in a t-shirt now, but as I said, it's actually a bit warmer today. So sweater weather's done for a little bit. Okay, so the first finished object from earlier in September. Well, I should probably go through August a bit first, yeah. Okay, so for the first lot of our finished objects, there's quite a bit in September, as I said, and I also did quite a bit of hospital knitting, as I said. But these first ones were a pair of socks. My husband has larger feet than the sock blocker, so they're a little bit big in the sock blocker. But this is just a basic vanilla pattern sock. Obviously it's a self-striping, and this is a Bendigo Woollen Mills merino wool, and I think it's an 80/20 merino nylon, and it's a particularly nice and hard wearing sock, this one. So these are actually ones that can go in the washing machine and can also just get chucked in the dryer, and they won't felt, which I particularly like. Not all of the socks that I knit have that capability. Obviously you need to know your yarns. This sock is actually a ladies size 9, which will probably be for me. This is another self-striping, but this is actually in a cashmere merino blend. So this is 70% merino, 10% cashmere, and 20% nylon. I'm quite liking, so I typically do a heel flap and gusset, and I always do an eye of partridge heel that you can see here. It is just simply my preferred. As a standard, I typically do, not always, but typically, a 2x2 rib, normally for about 1.5 inches, and then do a 6-inch leg, heel flap, gusset, and come down the foot. So that's one of mine too. I haven't done the second sock yet because that got delayed. I'll come to that in a second. Still on socks because I figured I'll stay with socks first. Now, many moons ago, I spoke about the pair of socks that I had on hold for my husband Hermione's everyday socks. I've actually almost finished the second one of them now. This is the first of those. I'm really loving this stitch pattern, and this is also with a cashmere merino blend. So there you go, so that's straight down there again, heel, gusset, and then down the foot. This particular pair, or this one of the pair, has already been washed and blocked, and the second one is currently on my needles, and I've got about this much to go. So just about another, I'm almost at the decreases, the toe decreases, and I do those at 9 inches for my husband. I think I'm at about 8.5 inches. So I'll actually finish this pair this evening. Another finished object was my husband went fishing. When did he get back? He got back this week, so he's had some time away fishing. This was just one of those super quick, bulky weight yarn beanies that I created here, just with, again, a Bendigo Woollen Mills 10 ply for us, which is bulky, not super bulky, yeah, just bulky. And this is intentionally a particularly thick fabric, so I've used smaller needles to make this more windproof. And he's actually got the longer brim, so we can actually have it up or down depending on how he needs to keep it. There's the star at the top. Alright. Again, as I said, I've got a lot of knitting. So a friend of mine is having a baby girl, and I've knitted for her a newborn baby beanie and a jacket that I'll show you in a sec. So this is the newborn baby beanie hat. I'll pop some photos up here as well. Let me change that. I'll pop some photos up the top as well so you can see. But newborn baby hat, and this is the baby hat top knot by Julie Taylor, and I'll make sure that we link this down below. So this is 4-ply yarn held double. It's actually a wool that I've used. So it's a Bendigo Woollen Mills 4-ply luxury, I think it is. What have I used? Dark pink. Yep. 4-ply Bendigo Woollen Mills luxury. Okay. And then to go with that, we have a matching little baby jacket. Now this particular jacket is called The Newborn Vertebrae by Kellie van Niekerk. I apologise if I said that wrong. First of all, how cute is this little, like, look at the size of it. It is so tiny. Now this particular cardigan intentionally has the front quite open because the intent is its newborn size is most of the time your newborns are either to your chest, so this is about keeping the back warm and their arms warm, or they've got a bib and the like on as well. So the front is intentionally kept open. Having raised 3 kids, I think this is brilliant because the designer comments on the fact that for all the spit up and the like as well, it's just about keeping it, warming the areas you need to warm while keeping the front open for more physical contact, or also because you're going to have a bib covering it. So I'm actually thinking I might make a few of these in some different colours. This was such a quick knit and it was just gorgeous. This yarn is just so soft as well. And again, this is wool. So that'll be a set for her as well. And what I'm hoping to get some time to do, which we all know how quick it is, so there's no reason I wouldn't get the time, is to make a pair of baby socks to go with this as well. Okay, and then I've got on a roll because I really enjoyed doing that little top knot beanie. So I did another one with 4-ply held double, so that was that same dark pink wool along with just a white one held together, so it did a mild amount. So that's just a newborn to 3 months. And then I thought I'd do the next size up. I didn't do the top knot on this one though. So this is a 3 to 6 month old size. And instead of doing 2 strands of 4-ply held together, this is actually 10-ply, so it's bulky. Now the hospital knitting I spoke about, I mentioned that it was a lot of dishcloths. This is the pile of my cotton dishcloths that I did while we were in the hospital. So just some, you can see the colours here. Some green, a nice blue, multicolours, orange, an aqua, an orange and yellow, then a yellow, then a multi. I'm going to do a heap more of these, probably in some more neutral colours, because I'm just noticing now as I look through these that these are a lot of brights. And I think that I'll do a lot for Christmas gifts, because obviously with these being 100% cotton, they're just as fabulous as dishcloths or also as face washes or baby cloths. Excuse me. So these will actually make some great gifts for coming up to Christmas. I might make some a little bit larger. This is my stock standard cloth size, which ends up being, because you knit it on the bias, at 50 stitches I then start tapering back in. But I might actually do one and take it up to about 60 or 70 stitches and just make them a little bit larger. So that was great hospital knitting. This is actually a beanie design I'm working up on myself. I feel like an imposter when I say it's my beanie design, because a basic beanie is a basic beanie. All of us know how to knit them. It's X number of stitches to fit your head, go up and then eventually decrease. So it's just a basic beanie pattern, but what I did do is I've done slip stitches. So these teeth almost looking things you can see here is just 2 rows of slip stitches as I got to them. I'm going to pop a beanie. I've got a different coloured blue, again just a nice bright blue. That's actually quite similar to the colour of my sock blockers. So I'm actually going to pop that on the top. So this is out of Karen X Pantone bulky yarn. So the Karen X has 5 different colours of the yarn in them. In total they're 100 grams, so they're all 20 gram little hanks. So these colours here I have used actually the full hank. And I've got a little bit left of this light blue, and then there's a brighter blue that I'm going to do the pom-pom for. I'm actually really impressed with the Karen yarn. It is only 20% wool. I think it's 60% acrylic, 20% wool. Has to be 20% something else. I'll have a look. So it obviously is the majority of it's acrylic. but it's incredibly soft and it was really nice to work with. So that's that beanie. This is another beanie as well, just in a recycled wool yarn. Again, just a basic beanie, nothing major. But again, with, as I said, hospital knitting and the like, has meant projects that are extremely portable and easy to take on the go. So some other knitting that I've done that I don't physically have here because I've already given it away and moved it on. I'll pop a photo up here as well. I custom made a pair of socks for my mother-in-law. She has a medical issue where her feet are particularly swollen, as are her legs up her calf. So I took some custom measurements and modified my standard vanilla sock pattern to be a good fit for her. The swelling gets quite bad, so she can't really wear any socks, any store-bought socks, because they constrict her blood flow. So she's suffering with cold extremities, not really able to get a comfortable fit from standard shoes or the like. So I've made her this one custom pair. I did 2 different styles of feet with it, and I've given her the socks and asked her just to knock around the house in them for a week or 2, and then I'll come back up and see which style of foot she prefers and that she's finding more comfortable, and then I'll bang out a few more pairs for her with that there. They used a particularly large amount of yarn because I had to make sure that we had just the right amount of ease, so there was enough grip without actually putting any pressure on her legs. So we'll see how that goes. So as for what's on the needles, on my needles at the moment, as I said, I've got love this little bag. It's from Random Acts of Whoopsie, and we're coming back into the Christmas period, so this works out quite well. So I'm finishing off the Hermione everyday sock, and as I said, it's just got to go to 9 inches. I'm at about 8.5 inches, so I'll finish off those. That'll actually be finished off tonight, and then that's done. Okay, from an acquisition standpoint, I did not realise, because I only buy yarn when it's on special. I was so proud that I have knitted up 4.2 kilometres worth of yarn over September, and I said I'm tracking it now. We're just at the very beginning of October, tracking that through. Over the last month, I have not intentionally. Over the last month, I've popped in occasionally to the Woollen Mills and to other places and look at yarn, but I haven't actually gone with the intent of buying XYZ yarn. But on those occasions when I've gone in, there's been some great stuff that's been on special that I thought I'll just pick up, and I'll grab a top quantity of this because I know that I'm going to make a few more of the party tops and I want to do some in cotton. So I've grabbed those, and as I've done those, because I've just been buying, a couple of bits and pieces whenever I popped in, at no stage until about 30 minutes ago have I pulled all that together. So I've just pulled it all together, and I'm quite mortified at how much I've actually bought. So I'll just show you this now. I do have one of those Karen hanks with me. So this is that Karen yarn that I made this beanie out of. Obviously just a different colourway. So it is 60% acrylic, 20% nylon and 20% merino wool. So as you can see, it's a bulky weight yarn. It's incredibly squishy. It's actually really, really nice. They all come in, there's a huge colour range, and they all come in these 5 20-gram balls. Now I would never pay full, but mind you, I don't pay full price for anything really. I always get stuff on special. I managed to pick these up for $3 a lot. I think they're normally something like $7 when they're not on special. At $7, it's lovely, but I wouldn't pay $7 for it. But at $3, I thought it was fantastic. So I bought, I think, about 5 different colourways of these, just with the intent of making some great beanies and pulling those together. Fantastic little gift things. And as I said, at $3 when they're on special, I'll definitely, next time I see them on special, I'll go and buy some more again because I think these are fantastic. And I suspect I've actually got enough yarn here. It's 127 yards to 116 metres. I reckon it's almost enough to make a baby top out of as well. Definitely something up to that 3-month-old range, or at least using as colour pops in something as well along those lines. So I think that's quite fabulous. I'll start with the extra quality stuff first. Now, I've mentioned this quite a few times. I'm a local to Bendigo in regional Victoria. We have a regional dyer. There's quite a few in our area, but one that I'm particularly in love with her work. Her name is Sai, and she is Happy Hank. If you go to the website happyhankco, I think it is, .com, you can have a look at her range. So I have these 2 DK weight singles, so 8-ply, DK weight. You can see that they're actually both, I say 8-ply because that's what we call it in Australia. However, you can see that these are singles. So they're single ply. I've grabbed these 2 to go together. I've got to figure out what I'm going to make. Possibly, oh, actually not possibly, it's likely to be some sort of shawl. I'll work it into that. Now it is incredibly, Sai is such a talented dyer. So this particular one is called Merry-Go-Round, this DK single. It is 100% superwash merino. You can see here, it's a beautiful light grey. Now it's coming out, on camera it's coming out a little bit lighter than it actually is, probably because of the background of my wall. It is still a very light grey, but it is a little bit darker in the grey that it's coming out. However, you can see the amazing colours that are through there. There's great greens and yellows and the pinks. There's a lime. So that's coming out like a fluorescent yellow. It's actually almost like a fluorescent lime green highlighter. I'd definitely call it more of that. And the pinks and purples that are all through here. So I think that will go beautifully paired with this guy here. And the pink is called Cherise Moment. And they said the grey with the speckles is Merry-Go-Round. So that is by Sai of Happy Hank Co. She does beautiful colours. I am really, if you do have a look at her website, I'll make sure I link it below. I want to buy a sweater's quantity of her gin and tonic. Or is it? Sorry, I'm thinking gin and tonic because I drink gin and tonic. I think it's called gin and cucumber. It's a nice green. It's the exact colour I think about in summer when I'm making a nice gin. It's a beautiful green with some yellows through it, and it's just amazing. I want to get that sweater quantity of that. Sai. Next show. Alright, so that's by Sai, Happy Hank. Now I also have, I get a Knit Crate subscription. One sec. Okay, now I get a Knit Crate subscription. I'm actually looking at stopping it because I love the yarn. The yarn's fantastic. Excuse me. I get the sock crate. However, I've got so much yarn, it's ridiculous. I would only be stopping it because of that fact. It's actually very affordable yarn. I particularly like the fact that I don't know what the colourway is that's coming. It's a random one of 4 that would come through. They do, before they get posted out, there's a social media campaign that shows you the different colours that you could get, and then it comes on out. So this is the one that's come last week. It's teals with some nice greens that have come through it. And so this is a sock yarn. This is 70% extra fine merino, 20% baby alpaca, and 10% nylon. So while it's a sock yarn, I won't be making socks for my husband out of this. With only 10% nylon, it's not really going to be hard wearing. However, it will be great for me. Now that's coming out a bit more blue on camera than it is. It definitely has the blue right through it, but it's quite a tealy, greeny colour going through that as well. So that was the Knit Crate sock yarn. And if you haven't got one before, each month it comes with a pattern book. I tend to, so were the 3 colourways that you could get this month. This is the one that I got, obviously, and these were my other options. They're quite lovely. Light bulb moment, it was the green. Positive change was the natural, and electricity. So this colourway is called Electricity. Of course, I could have just read that there. Ordine Wools is another Niekerk one. This is a luxury sock. The colourway is Calico Quilt, 75% superwash merino, 15% nylon, 10% cashmere. So this is the similar blend to the yarn I'm using for my husband's Hermione socks. I'm quite looking forward to knitting that up. And I've got this lovely Knitology one. This is Knitology Sparkling Sock. Colourway is Starlight. It's 70% superwash merino, 20% nylon and 10% stellina. So you can see there it's neutrals and some navy blues all mixed through. I'm just going to have to get up and let Idaho inside because he's actually crying at the door, made worse by the fact that excuse me, the door is just here, and it's a huge, the back of my house is a big glass wall, so he's just staring at me through it. It's like having babies in the house again. I'll be right back. So you'll now get to hear the occasional click-clacking of his toenails on the floor. Now the remainder of this yarn, there goes his toenails. Now the remainder of this yarn is all Bendigo Woollen Mills. Okay, so this one is Luxury Mink. This is a 4-ply. This is a 4-ply wool, which is fingering weight. Now this is quite a mushroomy taupe colour. I have 4 balls of this, and I've got this. These are 200 gram balls. So this is 720 meters per ball. I grabbed 4 balls of this, so I've got what's that? Almost 3,000 meters, I suppose, of this yarn. So more than a sweater quantity of yarn in this. So I'm looking forward to knitting this up. The luxury range is just some lovely extra soft machine washable yarn that Bendigo Woollen Mills have. Now I bought 2 balls of this Luxury Coast. Again, this is 4-ply, which is fingering weight, 720 meters. And again, for the 200 grams, this is $12 a ball. So I've got 2 balls of that. So I've got 1,400 meters of this. This is Classic Silver. Classic, so their classic range is a rustic yarn. It feels much more woolly. It'll definitely be a lot more hard wearing. Rustic is generally not, it says it's machine washable still. I normally wouldn't machine wash rustic yarn because it is quite woolly. Now these were, I bought about 8 balls of this Classic Silver in the rustic, and these were all different weights. This particular one was 166 grams and it was $5.80. When they have their not quite 200 gram balls left, they tend to mark them down quite dramatically by gram weight and not at an equivalent rate as it would be for a normal ball of yarn. So this is actually one of the reasons why I pop into the Woollen Mills quite often, because they have these partial balls and you can buy quite a larger quantity of them. I always look and make sure I get the same dye lot for them all. But as I said, I bought many balls of this Classic Silver in the 4-ply, so the fingering weight. Same again, Luxury Cherise. I have 2 balls of this. So this particular one is fingering weight again. Instead of being a standard 200 grams, this is 164 grams, and it was $5.70. So as I said, buying this stuff on these specials is just ridiculously cheap. So 164 grams, so this is probably around about, I haven't done the maths, so I don't calculate it, maybe 600 meters of yarn. I then grabbed this guy. He wasn't on special, but even at full price it was still only $14. I'm loving the brightness of this orange and I'm wanting to use it for some colour work. I haven't figured out what I'm going to use as the base colour yet, but this is Candyland Luxury in their Orange Fizz colourway. And as you can see, this is an 8-ply yarn. So in a 200 metre ball, in a 200 gram ball, there's 400 metres. And that is as orange as you're seeing on camera there. I then have Luxury Lotus. I grabbed 2 balls of these. These were $12 a ball. Fingering weight or 4-ply again. On camera this is looking a bit more peach than it actually is. It's a mixture of a peach and pink in real life. Okay, now I did mention that I wanted to make a couple of more of Abby Knits Party Top, but in the cotton for summer. So I have a full sweater's quantity of these 2 colours to do that with. I have 3 balls of this. This is 8-ply cotton, and this is in the peacock colour range. It's a little bit greener in person than that blue, but it's still fabulous. So that's 485 metres in 8-ply cotton. It's not a linen blend, it's 100% cotton. I then have 3 balls of cotton latte in the 8-ply again, 200 gram balls. These are on special today for $11 a ball. And I also grabbed a stay white cotton, purely for I may keep some for contrasting, but more for dishcloths as well. The beauty of cotton is it makes such a, not just dishcloths I suppose, for washcloths. Excuse me. Cotton is obviously what you would use for that. This is a particularly nice and soft cotton, so we'll see how that holds up for the dishes. So those are all of my yarn acquisitions that I've made over the month. As I said, I didn't realise it was actually quite so much until I just gathered it all to run through it and have a look. Okay, so I just very quickly wanted to also add, because I didn't run through these, I'm actually, I sew as well. Mind you, it's been a while since I've sewed, but I'm going to make myself some sock bags. I'm just going to make myself some of these pull tie ones because they're particularly handy. So just, this straight and simple size little gusset. So I grabbed some of this watermelon fabric, and then this green will be the insert for that. That'll be the lining. I have some bees, and the yellow orange is the lining going in there. And I have some lovely pussycats with just a grey lining that will go in it there as well. So the only other thing I want to talk to you about in today's episode is to show you what I'm actually going to be casting on tonight. I'm casting on 2 things. I'm ridiculously excited because I feel like I've had to limit my knitting over the past little while because of the drama that's been going on. And I do apologise. I know that there's so many other people with so much more drama. However, for me, having what happened to my son happen was particularly dramatic. So because of that, as I said, I've been focusing on small items that are incredibly portable. While yes, I did finish off my Love Note by Tin Can Knits and my Party Top by Abby Knits, I was only able to finish them off because I'd gotten quite advanced through, as you saw in the last podcast before my son's accident, I'd gotten most of the way through the Party Top, and the Love Note, actually that's something I don't think you were aware of. I also, in between all of that time, had to, it sounds terrible, I had to go. I went to Noumea in New Caledonia to watch my niece in a karate competition. So I was over there for 4 days. Excuse me, while I was there, I knitted on the Love Note, so I took that with me. So since I was knitting on that for the plane ride to Noumea and then back again, I actually got quite a large way through the Love Note while I was away for that. Now, just to show you what I'm going to be casting on today, I'll just open up Instagram. Okay, so I'm going to be casting on the Lazy Afternoon Socks by Tracie of the Grocery Girls podcast. I'll link them down below. I love, love, love the pattern of these socks. You can see they've obviously got some yarn overs, and the stitch down the middle is creating a nice V pattern through the socks. So I'm going to be casting those on today. And, so let me open up another one. And I'm going to be casting on the Party of 5 sweater. It is just stunning. Let me just zoom in a bit closer. So this is the Party of 5 sweater by Knitterella. Party of 5, because you can see the 5 different colour stripes there. I am going to do that turtleneck as well, but this will be a longer term one because I'm not going to be able to wear this for the summer. That's definitely going to be a winter fit. But what you'll see, you'll note as I zoom in here, that beautiful stitch pattern. Anyway, so they're the 2 things that I'm going to be casting on today and make some progress through this weekend. So thank you very much for listening to me prattle a ridiculously long amount of time and a huge amount of projects. I didn't realise I'd actually gotten through so many small projects. But the beauty is those small projects really chew through the yarn. So thank you again. I'm so glad that you joined me. I hope you have a great week. Hopefully I'll get to podcast again next week. As I did mention at the very beginning though, my aim is just to essentially update every month, so that way there's actually some stuff to talk about. But we'll just see how it depends on what progress I make through my different projects. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you had a fabulous week. I'll have all the links down below for everything that I've talked about, so please feel free to check those out. I do have an Etsy shop as well, which I'll link down below, which I do have face cloths and dishcloths and beanies and things on there as well. I tend to keep it just some smaller items, so please feel free to check those out. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, give it a thumbs up, just help me get out there a little bit more. But as you know, this podcast for me is just simply more about sharing what I'm knitting, because they're the things that I like to listen to as well. So thank you, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.